Good morning, grade 8. I'm your English teacher, Miss Maya. How are you doing? I miss you all. Today we are going to continue in grammar with chapter 14, noun clauses. Lesson 14.3, noun clauses that begin with if or whether, and lesson 14.4, noun clauses that begin with that. So, by the end of today's lessons, you are going to identify and define noun clauses that begin with if or whether and that. Before we start with noun clauses that are introduced by if, whether, or that, let's have a quick revision of noun clauses that are introduced with WH words. Consider the following information questions in the following diagram. Who is John going to visit? This is an information question. And if you want to change this information question into a sentence with a noun clause, remember that usual question word order is not used in a noun clause. So the new sentence becomes as in B. He asked who John is going to visit. Consider the second example. What have you done? In B, you know what you have done. So what have you changes into what you have. Remember again, usual question word order is not used in a noun clause. Now kindly open your grammar book, page 376, lesson 14.3, noun clauses that begin with if or whether. In the previous session, we talked about information questions and how they are changed into noun clauses. Today we are going to see yes-no questions and how they are changed into noun clauses. Look at the following example to find out the changes. Is Eric at home? I don't know if Eric is at home. The first thing that you can notice is the introduction of if at the beginning of the noun clause. The second thing is that the subject and the verb go back into their normal positions. Consider the second example. Does the bus stop here? Do you know if the bus stops here? Remember, we use stops because S was a part of does in the question. Now it becomes a part of the main verb in the noun clause. Did Alice go to Chicago? I wonder if Alice went to Chicago. Went because the auxiliary verb did is simple past. So when a yes-no question is changed to a noun clause, if is usually used to introduce the clause. In D, I don't know if Eric is at home or not. When if introduces a noun clause, the expression or not sometimes comes at the end of the clause. So whether you say, I don't know if Eric is at home, or I don't know if Eric is at home or not, both of them are correct. E. I don't know whether Eric is at home or not. In E, whether has the same meaning as if. In brief, when a yes-no question is changed to a noun clause, if or whether is usually used to introduce the clause. Whether the expression or not comes at the end of the clause, or whether it doesn't come at the end of the noun clause, both cases are considered to be correct. Consider the following chart on page 379, noun clauses that begin with that. So by the end, you are going to find out when a noun clause begins with that. Consider examples A through D. I think that Mr. Jones is a good teacher. What do you think? That Mr. Jones is a good teacher. B. I hope that you can come to the game. What do you hope? That you can come to the game. C. Mary realizes that she should study harder. What does Mary realize? That she should study harder. I dreamed that I was on the top of a mountain. What did you dream? That I was on the top of a mountain. As you can notice, all the noun clauses in A through D, that Mr. Jones is a good teacher, that you can come to the game, that she should study harder, that I was on the top of a mountain, are the noun clauses that function as the objects of the verbs think, hope, realizes, and dreamed consecutively. So a noun clause can be introduced by the word that. In A, that Mr. Jones is a good teacher is a noun clause that functions as the object of the verb think. That clauses are frequently used as the objects of verbs that express mental activity. So think, hope, realize, and dream express mental activity. Consider examples E and F. I think that Mr. Jones is a good teacher. Or I think Mr. Jones is a good teacher. Sometimes in speaking, the word that is often omitted. So examples E and F have the same meaning. Common verbs followed by that. Agree that, dream that, know that, realize that, assume that, feel that, learn that, remember that, believe that, forget that, notice that, say that, decide that, guess that, predict that, suppose that, discover that, hear that, prove that, think that, doubt that, hope that, read that, and understand that.